Ladies and gentlemen, at this time it is my honor to introduce Major General Kevin R. McBride, the Adjutant General of Rhode Island and Commanding General of the Rhode Island National Guard. General McBride will make the presentation of the gorget to Governor Raimondo. The gorget originated in the 14th century as a piece of armor worn around the neck to protect the throat area. In the 17th century, it became a small ornamental plate hung around the neck of leaders. In Rhode Island, it signifies the governor as the Captain General and Commander-in-Chief of the Rhode Island National Guard and militia units. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation and remain standing for the playing of Ruffles and Flourishes and Stars and Stripes Forever by the Governor's own 88th Army Band of the Rhode Island National Guard, followed by a 19th gun salute from units of the Rhode Island Militia. It is customary for military and law enforcement personnel in uniform to render a hand salute during Ruffles and Flourishes in the 19th gun salute.
To introduce to you the Governor of the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations and Captain General and Commander-in-Chief of the Rhode Island National Guard and Militia, the Honorable Gina M. Raimondo. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please be seated. My fellow Rhode Islanders, it is a great honor to address you today. I'm humbled by the challenges before us, mindful of the many Rhode Islanders struggling with some of the toughest economic conditions we've ever faced, and deeply grateful for the trust that you've put in me. Let me begin by expressing our shared heartfelt appreciation to Governor Chafee for 25 years of dedicated public service to our state. Thank you, Governor Chafee. Let us also acknowledge the brave men and women serving in uniform, our troops, first responders, and correctional officers. Thank you for your service. And let me thank my wonderful family for supporting me at every single step along the way. I love you. The challenges that any governor inherits define the possibilities before them, and how we solve intractable problems is limited only by our creativity and our courage to tackle the most difficult challenges. Over the past 30 years, we've watched the foundation of our economy, our manufacturing base, erode. Our manufacturing sector used to provide good, stable, middle-class jobs, and as it's withered, nothing's taken its place. In just the last year, we've had the highest unemployment rate in the country for 9 straight months. We've been 49th among states where companies want to do business, and dead last for helping entrepreneurs. At the same time, our government has become larger but less effective. We face unsustainable budget deficits, and yet our roads, bridges, and school buildings are crumbling. As a result, workers are insecure, families are vulnerable, and too many cities are teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. And far too many young people are leaving our state to seek opportunity elsewhere. But just as troubling is a growing belief held by too many Rhode Islanders that our problems are just too big to solve, that there's nothing we can do, and that our leaders don't care, don't get it, or are rendered ineffective by a broken system which caters to the few, the connected. We've witnessed a growing acceptance that this is Rhode Island. It's just the way things are. So we've lowered our expectations, deferred our dreams, and let corruption take root. Today, we begin to change that attitude. It's time to stop our decline and to ignite a Rhode Island comeback. It's not something that's going to happen on its own, or we can wait for somebody else to do. Every person within the sound of my voice and far beyond has a role to play in this comeback. Most important, we have to believe. We have to believe it's possible to have the comeback that our families deserve, and we have to commit ourselves to a new way of doing things. Now, at times, these changes are going to be uncomfortable. So often, we've resisted new ideas because people say, we've never done it that way before. But doing it the way we've always done it has landed us here. We need new politics and new ideas. Too many interest groups have crowded into this building for too long, putting their short-term self-interest before the long-term interest of all Rhode Islanders. Today, I ask Rhode Island to begin to think differently. I want you to ask yourself, each of you, what role can I play in the comeback of Rhode Island? How can we, as elected leaders, represent the concerns of all the diverse people of Rhode Island? How can business leaders develop new strategies to meet payroll and expand jobs right here in Rhode Island? How can our educators create cutting-edge laboratories of learning where we teach the next generation of innovators and leaders? Now, we're going to have to give up a little of our own narrow self-interest and give something back to our community. But that's how America works, and that's how we're going to get Rhode Island back to work. We need that eternal optimism shown by our founders, who believed in divine intervention, good fortune, and yes, providence. The idea that through God's grace, all things are possible. Because they are. The truth is, our only path out of this mess is to create middle-class, family-supporting jobs. And so we have to foster an environment where businesses want to add jobs, and also where we support our workers. If we do that, if we rebuild this economy, everything is possible. And if we don't, nothing else is going to matter. Let's create a place where people know you can make it in Rhode Island. Whether it's the young man preparing to graduate from high school, or a new mom who sees nothing but promise for her children, or the little girl who knows she can be anything she wants to be if she works hard enough. I want Rhode Island to be a place of boundless opportunity for everyone. And heck, maybe that little girl will even become governor of Rhode Island. Middle-class jobs are how we keep young people in Rhode Island. It's how we move people off public assistance. It's how we rejuvenate neighborhoods and secure the resources to invest in education and infrastructure and save for a rainy day. But more important than all of that, a steady job is the lifeblood of a healthy and thriving family. I learned that growing up, watching my father, who worked for 3 decades at the Bulliver Watch Factory. As a kid, I saw there was a job for everybody in his carpool. But I also remember him struggling to start over again when the company moved all the jobs overseas. Too many Rhode Islanders today face that uncertainty. Every decision we make must pass the test of whether or not it will create opportunity for Rhode Island families. In everything we do, we have to ask ourselves, how will this create good middle-class jobs? And then have the courage to act accordingly. To spark Rhode Island's comeback, we've got to do 3 things. First, we have to build the skills our students and workers need to compete in the 21st century. Second, we have to attract entrepreneurs and investment in industries of our strength to stimulate our economy and create jobs. And third, we have to innovate in everything we do, including in our state government, to enhance accountability and deliver value to taxpayers. We all know the economy is changing rapidly. The question is, are we preparing Rhode Islanders to be winners in this new environment? Education is a ladder of opportunity, so we need to modernize our school buildings, support our dedicated teachers, and make college accessible for more families. We need to ensure effective training opportunities for workers of all ages that align with the jobs that are in demand. To create stable jobs, we also have to cultivate conditions that will make businesses want to be here and want to add jobs here. Before adding jobs, businesses want to know there'll be a steady supply of well-trained workers and a 21st century infrastructure. They look for clear and streamlined regulations and a predictable tax structure. And perhaps most important, a level playing field where everyone can get ahead based on what you know, not who you know. We need a growth strategy, focused on our strengths in the marine science, healthcare, tourism, and food industries, which we implement every single day. And we have to revive our manufacturing sector, because if we make things in Rhode Island, people can make it in Rhode Island. We also have to innovate in everything we do, including the way government works in Rhode Island. Let's operate a government that's customer-friendly and creatively finds ways to help families succeed. It's time to redesign government, modernize our hiring practices, and instill accountability for results. Let's improve Medicaid by tracking down on fraud, delivering better care, and improving efficiency. Let's provide more digital services to citizens and facilitate online permitting for businesses. And let's help our cities and towns share services to reduce operating costs. Instead of simply throwing money at problems, we have to be outcome-oriented and insist on citizens getting their money's worth for their tax dollars. And we have to do all of this with urgency, because our budget deficit is severe this year, and there's even darker clouds on the horizon. We can't continue what we've been doing, just annually scraping together enough cuts and revenues to make it through the next year. Let's commit ourselves to eliminating our structural deficit over the next several years to put our state on a sound footing, and to making the tough choices so that at the same time we'll be able to invest in job-creating opportunities. My fellow Rhode Islanders, today we face a choice. We can continue on our current path. We can avoid difficult decisions because we're afraid of special interests or political ramifications, or of simply changing the way we've always done it. And if we stay on that course, our kids are going to be left behind, more cities and towns will go bankrupt, and other states will continue to pass us by. But there's another choice. There's a better path. I want everyone to have opportunity to make it in Rhode Island. So today, I ask you to join me and let's reach for something better for Rhode Island. Now listen, the job's not going to be done in 2 or 5 or 10 years, and the problems we face weren't created overnight, and we're not going to solve them overnight. And at each step of our journey, this journey that we're on together, we're going to measure our work in lives changed, in opportunities created, and in families saved. This is my pledge to you. I'll wake up every single morning focused on expanding opportunity for families in Rhode Island. And no matter how long it takes or how many obstacles are thrown in our way, we're never going to give up. Now, I don't have all the answers. Just ask my kids, they'll tell you that. But I will go anywhere, and I'll work with anyone who wants to do what's right for Rhode Island. And I'm especially committed to collaborating with Speaker Mattiello and Senate President Paiva Weed, who I thank for their dedicated service and who I know share my focus on getting Rhode Islanders back to work. Listen, the challenges before us are real. I get that. I know that. But hear this, Rhode Island. Together, we will meet those challenges. As I prepared for today, I spoke to a friend of mine, who's someone many of you know and many of you are praying for, Sister Ann Keefe. Sister Ann's work has been teaching nonviolence. And like most things in life, it's a work in progress. But she never loses faith, and neither can we. At a time when all you have to do is hear the word Ferguson, you realize the challenge of our time is to simply get along a little better and respect one another, to be a better example for our children, to teach them that solving a problem shouldn't mean caving in to the loudest voices. It often means listening to the quietest voices. I would ask that if you remember one thing from today, it's that we're all in this together. Governor Mario Cuomo, who sadly passed away last week, reminded us that we must be the family of America, recognizing that at the heart of the matter, we're bound to one another. Our collective future is tied to rebuilding Rhode Island's economy in a way that expands opportunity for all families without leaving anyone behind. I believe that's why we're all here today. We're tying our faiths together, and with God's grace and with God's guidance, we will find a way. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Rhode Island.
Thank you, Governor Raimondo. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the ICC Youth Praise Choir will sing America the Beautiful.
shining sea.
All beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountains, majesties above their fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown the dead with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. From sea to shining sea. From
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the benediction given by the Very Reverend Dr. Jeffrey A. Williams from the King's Cathedral, also the Reverend Joanna Orellana, President of the Social Transformation Alliance, and Rabbi Sarah E. Mack from the Temple Beth El and President of the Board of Rabbis of Greater Rhode Island.
Oh God, it is by your grace that we are here even this day. May your hand of wisdom, may your hand of compassion, may your hand of grace be upon our governor and our state from this moment forward.
Mighty God, teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those in need. Help us to hear the silent tears of those who suffer, and bless those who accompany the lonely and feed the hungry. May our streets, our schools, and our homes be safe from affliction and strife.
May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond and harmony to banish hatred and safeguard the ideals that are the pride and glory of our state. Help us to appreciate one another and respect the many ways that we may serve you. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance, that they may govern with justice and compassion. Teach them your ways, that they may administer affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, hope and prosperity may abide in our midst. May our state be an influence for good for all who dwell here, that the words of the prophet shall be fulfilled, and light shall shine in the darkness. Amen.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the recessional.
And you've been watching live coverage of Inauguration Day 2015. Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo talking about her plan over the next 4 years. She says that the entire state needs to work together. She talked about three things: building skills, investing back into the business community, and being innovative. Well, she kind of glossed over just some of the things she wanted to do over the next year to 4 years. I had an opportunity to sit down with the governor a couple of days ago to talk about what she plans to do in the near future. Gina Raimondo says it's time to get Rhode Island back on track.
I think we have to do regulatory reform, we have to do workforce training, we have to make our K-12 schools work. We have to do many things, and then over time you'll start to see it's a new day in Rhode Island.
Working with the House Speaker and Senate President is important.
And they're looking to the governor for some leadership. You know, the governor's job is to present an economic strategy, and then the legislature's job is to implement that strategy.
What about federal funding? You talked about there's money out there to go get.
You know, just the other day, President Obama announced a $100 million challenge grant for manufacturing. You know, I want to figure out if Rhode Island can get a piece of that. There's training. You talked about vocational training. There's a lot of federal money, so we need to go get it. Transportation. I might not get every penny, but I'm going to fight for every penny for Rhode Island.
We've learned the state is facing a $200 million deficit, which could grow even larger, with possible declining revenues from Twin River.
A third of the state budget is Medicaid. We have to ask ourselves, are we really getting our money's worth out of that? Education, we spend an awful lot on educating our kids. Are we getting the most out of it that we can? And at the same time, we find all these cuts, we have to find money to invest.
Raimondo tells me there could be roadblocks ahead.
But here, let me tell you, there's one thing I'll have no tolerance for, which is we can't do that because we've always done it this way. Well, doing things the way we've always done it has led us to where we are. Bankrupt cities, third highest unemployment rate, schools that are letting our kids down. We've got to do things differently.
Raimondo says being the first woman governor is only the beginning.
So I want to kickstart the comeback. 5, 10, 15 years from now, I want people to say, wow, they did a turnaround in Rhode Island. They have it going on in Rhode Island. And I'd like them to say that started with Governor Raimondo.
And Governor Raimondo also told me that she says not every kid wants to go to college or can go to college. That's why she talked about the vocational schools and reinvesting in that and putting people back into skilled labor. She really thinks that's going to be a big part of Rhode Island's comeback. About 200, 300, 400 people were here today in the cold to listen to Inauguration Day 2015. We have new state officers, and we'll have more coming up later on tonight. Now live from the State House, I'm Mike Montecalvo. Patrick and Danielle, back to you.
All right, thanks, Mike. We're also joined by our political analyst, Joe Fleming, and we understand that Governor Raimondo will order her first executive order coming up at 1 o'clock. We don't know what that is, but it certainly sets the tone for administration. She has a lot of energy, and I'm sure that to-do list, when she gets back to her office on that desk, is pretty long.
That's just what it is. Gina Raimondo is not going to waste any time as governor. She's going to start right away. There's a lot to do to get the state turned around. She is a person who has a lot of energy, who will do that and not sit back.
You know, when you were taking notes on the speech, you basically had the same 3 bullet points as Mike did. She focused, as we know, so much on jobs, but really this speech seemed to take it a little bit further and was a little more optimistic, talking about opportunity and not just the hard work of getting the jobs here.
I think she mentioned the word opportunity 10, 12 times during the speech. But she's also saying we have to do things differently in Rhode Island. We can't keep the same things we've been doing because they're not working. She's laying out a path to change the way things are done in Rhode Island. The question is, can she get it accomplished?
You told us a great story during the speech while we were watching it here in the studio about a get-together she had with the Speaker of the House.
Yeah,
and
she met
talk
with
about that, how they sort of,
well, she met with the Speaker, and I think a very smart thing was they met in the Speaker's district. So it's showing that she wants to talk with the Speaker, she wants to work with the Speaker and the Senate President, and she'll go anywhere she has to meet with these people and to really show that they want to work together. If the 3 of those people can work together, I think Rhode Island can really start moving forward.
What do you think, other than her focus being jobs, are going to be the primary differences of the administration that's just wrapping up, the Chapey administration, and her leadership style? What are we going to see in the first 100 days from Gina Raimondo?
Totally different. I think you're going to see Gina, her first big thing is going to be a budget, which she'll be submitting next month. I think that will tell a lot of what she wants to do and what she wants to accomplish. But I think you're going to see her get out there all the time and really put a lot of programs forward. As she said, it's not going to be done overnight, but she's going to start laying the groundwork this year. And I think that's what has to happen. And over the course of the year, a lot of changes can take place.
All right, Joe Fleming, we'll be hearing from you more, I'm sure, as we watch Gina Raimondo in her first days in office and see how everything goes. We appreciate your analysis today.
Thank you,
and again, history-making day. Gina Raimondo said she wanted it to be 50 minutes, start to finish, for her inaugural ceremony, and it pretty much was. 14 degrees under these cloudy skies, a little bit of light snow falling, and there you have it, our first female governor of Rhode Island.
Stay with Eyewitness News for continuing coverage of this historic inauguration and transition of power. Online, we'll bring you more on today's swearing-in ceremony coming up, of course, on Eyewitness News Live at 5. You can see the entire inauguration, plus read more about Raimondo's team. It's online right now on WPRI.com.